Andrea Stella has issued a serious warning that McLaren could be on the brink of losing the trust of both Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri after the intense fallout from the Singapore Grand Prix. The McLaren team principal's unusually open and emotional comments have revealed the deep internal issues currently brewing inside the team, following the dramatic on-track clash between their two title-contending drivers. What was meant to be another strong performance for the Papaya team turned into a weekend of finger-pointing, frustration, and a potential fracture within one of Formula One's most exciting driver pairings. Stella, who is usually calm and composed, admitted that the team is now facing one of the most challenging moments of their modern era. The review needs to be very detailed, very analytical, and we must take into account the perspective of both drivers, Stella told the media after the race. We will come to a common understanding, and then see whether our initial interpretation still holds, or if there's something we have overlooked. However, it was his next statement that truly captured the weight of the situation. We need to be accurate because there is a lot at stake. Not only championship points, but the trust of our drivers and how we operate as a team. This level of transparency is rare in Formula One, and Stella's words make it clear that McLaren's internal harmony is hanging by a thread. The trouble began right from the opening lap in Singapore. Norris went for an aggressive move that saw contact with both Max Verstappen and his teammate Piastri. While Norris managed to continue and finish on the podium in third place, Piastri was left furious, both by the incident and the team's lack of response. His radio message, that wasn't very team-like, but sure, echoed with frustration. The Australian's disappointment was clear in his tone, and later confirmed in his post-race interviews where he openly expressed dissatisfaction with how the team handled the incident. What made the situation worse was McLaren's decision not to issue team orders or any penalty. By refusing to intervene, they effectively signaled that Norris's move was acceptable racing behavior. For Piastri, who has previously followed team instructions even when it hurt his own race, this was seen as a betrayal of the fairness McLaren often claims to value. Stella admitted that McLaren's "let them race" philosophy might be backfiring. We want to protect this concept, but we know it creates difficulties, he said. That confession speaks volumes. McLaren's attempts to allow both drivers equal freedom on track have now created a web of tension and confusion that could end up destroying the very trust they're trying to preserve. The team's internal rules, famously summarized as "no contact between teammates," were supposed to be simple. Yet, McLaren's inconsistent handling of situations has only complicated things. Their habit of selectively intervening in some cases while ignoring others has set a precedent they cannot uphold. As a result, both drivers now expect the team to step in when there's contact, creating a lose-lose situation where any decision will upset one side. This has led to growing resentment between the two drivers, who both feel unfairly treated. The timing of this internal drama could not be worse. With only a handful of races left, Piastri currently holds a 22-point advantage over Norris in the championship, while Verstappen still remains mathematically capable of taking the title. If McLaren continues to implode from within, they could hand the championship to Red Bull on a silver platter. Stella's remarks suggest the team is finally beginning to understand how delicate this situation really is. Managing two competitive drivers fighting for the same prize requires a completely different approach than managing a number one and a support driver. McLaren must now rebuild the broken trust before it's too late. Both Norris and Piastri are world-class talents with multiple options available elsewhere. If they start to believe McLaren cannot give them equal treatment or a stable environment, one or both could easily look for a new team. That risk is very real, especially with teams like Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari keeping a close eye on the situation. Piastri's frustration is particularly understandable. Since joining McLaren in 2023, he has been loyal, patient, and a team player. He has consistently followed orders that benefited Norris or the team's long-term goals, sometimes at the cost of his own race results. But the Singapore clash has clearly shaken his confidence. When a driver starts doubting whether his team truly has his back, it affects everything: performance, mindset, and team spirit. On the other hand, Norris is under enormous pressure of his own. As McLaren's long-term driver and emotional leader, he feels responsible for leading the team to glory. His aggressive driving style, while thrilling to watch, sometimes blurs the line between ambition and recklessness. The backlash after Singapore has forced him to reflect on whether his risk-taking is helping or hurting the team. What complicates the situation even more is the internal politics within McLaren. Norris is seen as the team's established star and has a close relationship with CEO Zak Brown, while Piastri is widely viewed as the future, young, calm, and extremely fast. Any decision the team makes is bound to favor one side and frustrate the other. Stella knows this cannot continue. He acknowledged that trying to please both drivers in every situation is unsustainable. The team, he said, needs a clearer and more consistent approach, one that doesn't depend on who's involved or what the race circumstances are. Moving forward, McLaren must set strict and transparent rules for how teammates can race each other and stick to those rules no matter what. They also have to accept that tension between two top drivers is inevitable. Trying to completely eliminate conflict is unrealistic. Instead, the focus must be on ensuring that competition doesn't turn into chaos. Both Norris and Piastri are under huge mental strain as the season heads into its final phase. Every team decision, every radio message, every pit strategy is being scrutinized by the drivers to see whether they are being treated equally. Once that sense of fairness starts to erode, it can destroy a team from the inside. Rival teams are watching closely. A divided McLaren could be a goldmine for other teams looking for new drivers. If McLaren cannot get this under control, they could lose one or even both of their biggest assets. And that would be catastrophic for a team that finally has a car capable of winning championships again. McLaren's engineering department has delivered an exceptional machine this year, arguably their best in over a decade. The MCL38 has shown the speed and consistency to challenge Red Bull and even beat them on certain tracks. But all that technical brilliance will mean nothing if the human side of the operation collapses. Formula One, at its core, is a team sport built on trust and unity. Without that, no car is fast enough to win. The next few races will define McLaren's future. They must show both drivers that they can be fair, decisive, and consistent, even under immense pressure. The leadership, Stella and Brown, must sit down with Norris and Piastri and establish crystal clear expectations. They need to agree on racing boundaries, communication standards, and decision-making processes. And most importantly, they must stick to those agreements no matter who benefits in the short term. Stella's honesty about the current crisis could actually be McLaren's turning point, if they act quickly. The team now has a small window to repair relationships and restore harmony before the damage becomes permanent. But acknowledgement alone isn't enough. Action is what will matter most. McLaren has already secured the Constructors' title this year, but that achievement could lose its shine if their two drivers no longer trust the team. Time is running out. With only 6 races left and the Drivers' Championship still up for grabs, McLaren must prove that they can unite rather than implode. Stella's warning should serve as a wake-up call for everyone in the organization, from the top management down to the mechanics in the garage. Because without trust, even the fastest car on the grid cannot win championships.